What is up, hostages? How's it going? I just came across something that was like breaking news, and I thought I'd share it. It's not really breaking news, nor am I the breaking news guy. But I was doing some editing on something else, and I went onto my phone to read some early Marvel stuff for Razorback, of all things. And I saw right there on the main screen there was a Thor Shazam Infinity comic on the Marvel Unlimited app, and I was like, what? So I read it. It's by Al Ewing and Jethro Morales. And like I thought we had the Batman Deadpool earlier this year that had a bunch of little crossovers. I kind of thought that was it. I think they announced another Superman somebody for next year, and I was like, okay. But this, I looked into it. They kind of just announced it yesterday and like dropped it today. So it's right there. And I thought, hey, I'll read it and tell you guys a bit about it in case you don't have the Marvel Unlimited app, which you should if you like Marvel Comics. I am not sponsored by them, but it's worth it for the amount of comics you get to read. Anyway, I'm not a fan of the Infinity comic. It's more of a infinite scroll, I guess is what it is. Instead of all the panels, you kind of just get a panel, a panel, a panel, and you just can scroll it the whole way. I guess that's why it's an Infinity comic. But this one is set some time ago. They even kind of reference the fact that Captain Marvel's name is Captain Marvel, not Shazam, but they do call him Shazam. Anyway, Thor is like trying to hit his stick because he's still Donald Blake. That's how old this is in the time it's set. He wants to hit his cane on the ground and turn into Thor, but he can't. And then a magic subway shows up, and Shazam takes him to the wizard and is like, hey. And he's like, what's going on? I'm supposed to be Thor. And the guy's like, yeah, I know, but there's some magic is being tampered with, so you can't turn into Thor. And he's like, oh, okay. And they start explaining who Shazam is, and you learn a bit about who Thor is. And then Mr. Mind shows up, but he is just jack beefcaked out. And he's like, what the hell? And it's like, yeah, that's who's meddling with the magic. And he's turned into a whole thing. He's got a Mr. Mind with his name. Oh, I'll find it here so I can read it to you. Because you know Shazam has the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury, all spelling out Shazam, his name. Now, so then Mr. Mind has the evil of Mephisto, the magic of Ibis, the something of Slgurt, the might of Thor, the cunning of Etrigan, the science of Rao, the mischief of Mxyzptlk, the power of Icarus, the fear of Nightmare, and the evil of Darkseid. And of course, the names of each of those he has is Mr. Mind. So he's just got all this stuff. He is buff, and he just starts to fight Captain Marvel and Thor. But then Thor's like, oh yeah, I don't have my power. I can't turn into Thor. And Captain Marvel's like, let me use my lightning. And his Shazam lightning turns Thor into Thor, but then turns him back into a kid. And then when Thor tries to use his lightning, turns him back, because it's the magic lightning now, turns him back into Donald Blake, and then Shazam is Shazam. So they can either be one hero and 1 week. They can't both be the hero at the same time. It's just actually a really cool, fun story that used a lot of the lore and stuff. There's a cat behind me making mischief. Speaking of mischief, Mxyzptlk. It's the cat. Anyway, and then Shazam gets to hold Thor's hammer, and then they defeat Mxyzptlk, and, you know, it was just a fun, good crossover that I wasn't expecting to happen. And then I thought, well, if that's here, what is going on in DC? So I went and looked at my DC app, and then there was The Flash and the Fantastic Four, FFF. It was by Jeremy Adams and Adrian Gutierrez. It wasn't as good, but it was good. It was a crossover. It was just the Fantastic Four sitting around, and Grodd shows up and starts beating them up, and then starts taking over their mind. The Flash shows up and is like, let's do this. And then Grodd, like, gets Mr. Fantastic to click a pen, and they wind up 25,000 years in the future. Sorry, not 25,000. They just wind up in the future, and Reverse Flash is there, and Abracadabra's there, and a bunch of villains show up, and they're like, whoa, how many boomerangs has this guy got? And it's just the Fantastic Four fighting a bunch of Flash villains, and Jay Garrick shows up, and Wally West shows up, and then they just punch Grodd in the face. Like, it was stock standard. Like, I think the Shazam and Thor one was a bit better because it tied in the continuity and did more stuff, whereas the Flash and Fantastic Four was just kind of, but it was based off the novelty of here's the Flash and the Fantastic Four. And we did see when the Flash was running in, Reed was like, standard Quicksilver defense, and Sue puts up a wall, and the Flash runs into it. It's like, oh no, I hit a wall. I don't know. It was awesome. And I just think that in this era, because like it's been just about 20 years, hasn't it, since JLA Avengers, and like it seemed like this wasn't something that was going to happen, and now just it's happening. And then with the Batman Deadpool, whether you liked it or whether you didn't, we thought it was a bit of a disappointment. Just now, even on these apps, we have the opportunity to just shadow drop new crossover comics today. I don't know. I thought it was such a splendid surprise to open the app to read about Razorback and just see that there's a Marvel, like there's DC characters on my Marvel app. So maybe now, put JLA Avengers on there or something. Or not. I don't know. Anyway, I thought I had to make this video today for you guys. So, stay Aussie.